project I am about to work on is on the, we had a mirror in a floor mirror in our master bedroom that for some reason decided to give out on us. The frame cracked. It cracked right there and on that side, and it cracked on this corner. So I'm not sure if it was, I don't know, leaned up against, I'm not sure what happened. Anyway, the timing is kind of good though, because I did want to get us a new mirror, but the mirrors that I was looking toward were a little expensive, so that's why I'm bringing to you another DIY. Y'all excuse Dallas milk. Oh my gosh. He's in the back calling for mommy, but he's talking to Derek, y'all. But anyway, I just came back from Lowe's and I got me some wood and materials to get started on it. This is the mirror, the floor length mirror, and I'm about to get ready and rehab it. Hopefully this doesn't take too long. The wood that I bought, which I'm going to use to frame it, is this, and it was already pre-stained, and I have a gray stain that I use for the desk, so I'm going to use that on the part that isn't, but I'm not going to do that until after I frame it. So here we go. Let's get to work. Okay, so first I am using the mirror and the wood that I bought for the frame. I'm using these two to see exactly where I need to cut my plywood. When I had it cut at Lowe's, I made sure that they cut the plywood bigger than what I would need. So just in case I messed up, I had enough wood to kind of play with. Okay, so with the wood that I'm going to use for my frame and a pencil, I'm making marks on the plywood so that I know exactly where I need to cut it, so that I have just enough plywood for the back of my mirror. So with the pencil and the mirror, I'm making sure I make a straight line all the way down the plywood, so that when I use my jigsaw to cut the wood, I've cut it even. Alright, so I do not have a workshop, and it was thunderstorms outside, so I did not want to go outside or in the garage to cut. So I made a makeshift workstation in my kitchen. And yes, I do have on safety goggles. The jigsaw that I am using is nothing fancy at all. It's just a Black & Decker jigsaw that I got from Lowe's, and I want to say it was only about 30 or 40 bucks. So it was really economical. So I've cut the sides of the plywood. Now I'm just working on doing the top and bottom to make sure those are also even. I'm just using the same wood for the frame to make sure I get those cuts just as even. Alright, so now I have cut all the sides, including top and bottom of the plywood, and now I'm just putting the mirror back down on it to make sure I make my cuts even. And I've gotten my measuring tape to make sure they were the exact amount, and for this particular project it was 3 inches all around, so I'm just checking my math. So by this time I had discovered that I was not going to be able to have my frame lay flush to the plywood while at the same time holding my mirror in place, so I had to devise a plan. I had plywood from a previous project left over that was much thinner, so I figured I could cut it just enough to be able to slide between the two to give me that an even finish. And once I realized that could work, I just took measurements so that I could cut the same small sizes of plywood to be able to fit around the full frame of the mirror. Now I'm just cutting the wood that will go around my mirror for the frame. Sorry if the camera shakes a little bit. I had the camera sitting up on the table. And here all I'm doing is lining up the wood so that they're all the exact same cut. And yes, I am touching the blade of the Miter Saw, you guys, but what you can't see off screen is I do unplug the saw after every cut I make. I do have an infant in the home, so I never leave it plugged in after a cut. Alright, so now that I have my cuts made, I'm just going to line it up with the mirror in the back to make sure that they're lining up evenly. And I'm also going to go ahead and secure the smaller pieces of plywood that I had cut earlier to secure my mirror. And I'm not using anything fancy. It's just a dual nail and staple gun, which I also got from Lowe's, and that had to be no more than like 35 bucks. And I'll make sure to link the tools that I am using in the description box below. Alright you guys, so we're almost done. I had already made the cuts to the frame for the wood. I did most of those off camera because I didn't want to keep moving the camera back and forth. But now I'm just going to line up the wood for my frame, and once I get those cut, I'll get those put in place. I did also use an industrial glue to adhere this mirror to the plywood. I applied a generous amount of E6000 on the back of the mirror right before laying it down and putting on my frame. Alright you guys, and take note that when I cut the wood that was going to go around the mirror frame, I tried to make it as exact as possible. I even tried to give myself maybe like a centimeter more than what I measured, just so that it can be flush against the wood going around the frame. I didn't want to leave any gaps. And so to secure the frame against the back plywood, I decided to use finishing nails instead of my staple gun. I wanted to use finishing nails because I feel like it would give it a more authentic and rustic look. Alright you guys, now we're done. I'm just going to clean off the smudges and fingerprints that I got in the mirror with some glass cleaner, and we are through. If you like this DIY, please hit the like button and leave a comment below. Let me know if you think I did well. And if you want to see more, please subscribe. There are definitely more DIYs to come.